Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your host from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey everyone, Private Lenders Podcast, Chris and Jason here. Thanks for checking out the show. Today, we are talking about email marketing, which is probably the lowest hanging fruit in terms of lead gen for the private lending business. Now, when people have come into our circle, kind of in the online mastermind, consulting, all that stuff, a lot of people come in not realizing how important it is to be consistent with your email marketing. But once people do put that in place weekly, maybe even, I wouldn't say any less than once a week, but you can go more if you want. We do. We stepped up our frequency recently. Everybody who puts that consistently in place sees immediate increased deal flow, and it keeps going. It keeps going because you never turn that off, and you put more and more people into the funnel, into your database. You're right in front of them every week. And I know that people oftentimes say, this is why we're going to break down the 3 types of email broadcasts we do, because so many people come into it saying, I don't know what to send. I don't know what to email. So we're going to shortcut that for you. We're going to tell you what we do.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't exactly even remember why intuitively we thought to start doing emails early on in like late 07, early 08.
We did it right away.
But like we did it. And it's been, Chris has done one email every week since then. And as of recently, maybe 6 months ago or so, we actually hired someone to help do another 2 emails as well. And I mean, we believe this is a very high level task, right? Yeah. Like it should be done kind of in-house yourself if possible. And then if you have a way for some, for content or something like that, to have somebody write about to help you, that's good. But it's funny because I just finished, yet again, another Alex Hormozi podcast, and he was talking about e-commerce brands and about how their entire game plan is to cover their cost to acquire a client. In essence, like acquire, and have that client, let's say, whatever they're selling $100 product to a client, it costs them $100 to acquire, and they get that client in essence for free, right? And then they're making all their money on email follow-ups and email sequences. He used a stat like 35 or 40% of their revenue, of e-commerce revenue, comes from just their email database through that marketing channel. It's so important. And I would say that in our lending business is more than that. Like so many deals. I mean, do the math, right? Like
so many.
Somebody reaches out to you, meet them at a RIA group, whatever the case is, you have their email and they're not ready to buy right now. They don't have a deal right now, or you can't approve them based on this deal. They don't have enough cash, whatever the case is. They don't agree to your terms, but you stay in front of them on a weekly basis. And at some point, months from now, years from now, decades from now, they'll be the right people. I mean, I'll never forget, we did a loan for someone that was on our email database for 10 years. And I share that story with like pride of like, that's good. Like, yeah, however much it cost us to acquire them, either with actual money or actual time 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, we were grinding RIA groups. So it was probably time. Like that paid off. So anyways, let's go through the 3. We'll tell you what the 3 are, and then we'll go through them one by one. So the 3 are deal spotlight, which in essence is like highlighting or a deal that we recently did, maybe like a case study, a content sharing a piece of content that we've created, or CTA call to action, very, very direct, of like, hey, buy now, or hey, it's the end of April and do you have a loan that has to close before the end of the month in the next few days? Boom, we'll take care of it. No appraisal, no anything. We'll close quick. So let's go through deal spotlight. This is kind of a fun and creative way, to showcase deals. If you're in the lending business and you're doing deals, even if you're only doing a few deals a month, you have a deal spotlight, right? And if you're new to the lending business and you don't have any deals, spotlight a deal, a hypothetical deal. Maybe it's a real estate flip that you did in the past, or just a hypothetical deal of what a deal would look like, if you were to lend on that. But in essence, Chris is doing a deal spotlight, whatever, once or twice a month, and just going through a recent deal that we closed and just outlining how it looks.
Yeah, a few details on that. So I like to use larger loan amounts. I think that looks, good. And you want to bring in larger loan amounts, so why not market them, right? That's one point. This is a very common type of email marketing for lenders across the board. And I used to not like it that much. I used to think it was kind of, I don't know, unoriginal or something, but I totally changed my mind on that over the years. The reason being it's effective. Like people who might borrow from you want to see what the deals look like, right? So in addition to picking a recently closed deal, good size loan amount, an area that we want to showcase the fact that we want to do more loans here, Northwest Washington, D.C., for example. I'll put a pic of the property in there and I'll write up a little blurb about, this borrower came to us. It's a repeat client. They're buying it for this much. Put in here. It's going to be a flip. They're going to be listing it later on for $750, like that kind of stuff. Just a basic write up of what's going on here. Like I mentioned, a pic down towards the bottom, and then a quick call to action. Like if you haven't tried out HMB, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to give you a quote on anything you're looking at. And that's pretty much the way it goes. If you do want to see our email broadcasts, then fill out any form on hardmoneybankers.com, and then you'll see 3 of them a week, and feel free to model them, copy them a little bit if you want. We don't mind that at all. A lot of people do. A lot of people in the mastermind are doing that. So that's number one. That's Deal Spotlight. Lost your
Sorry
audio.
about that. I was on mute. And that's pretty like 101 bare minimum. Anyone can do that, right? And keep in mind, you can use that same content and post that onto social media, right? You can do it in text form. You can do it in a before and after picture form. You can do a video form. So I'll give you an example. Dave in our office just finished doing a bunch of inspections on a property that just recently sold. It recently sold, but he sent me the folder of all the before and the after pictures of the property. Sent it to one of our video guys. I did a quick voiceover. In essence, was like, hey, we recently did a loan for, on this particular property to this borrower. He bought it for this price, renovated it. These were his holding costs. He sold it for this, for this price and, whatever, 4 months, blah, 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 blah. Here's some before and after pictures. So we're going to get a content piece out of that. We're going to post on social media. I scripted it with a little bit of a call to action as well. So we're actually probably going to run some paid ads on it because I know paid ads do well with case studies behind the scenes, things like that. So we'll probably run some, Facebook Insta traffic on that. And then we can use that for our email. That can be the email, like check out this video. We can describe it, plus put some before and after pictures. If you want to get fancy, we've done this in the past. Doesn't happen all the time, but if we happen to have a testimonial from that borrower as well, put the testimonial in the email as well. So, I was talking to someone in the mastermind group a few months ago, and I was like, listen, your emails, your deal spotlights are fine right now. It's one picture of the property with like 2 sentences. We lend $150,000 on this property. If you have anything, let me know. Happy to help you out. Right. And I'm like, that's 101, buddy. Like keep improving that. Let's move to before and after pictures. Let's move to actual breakdown of how the numbers shake out. Right. And that's fine. Start with 101. Don't get overwhelmed with this. Literally start with step 1. And after you have that and it's a habit, work your way up and then build it out a little bit nicer and a little bit nicer and a little bit nicer. All right,
moving on.
Number 2, content share. So you want to go through what a content share is?
Yeah. Content share. An example would be a podcast, and there's other examples too, but like some kind of content that you have made recently that's beneficial to real estate investors. That's your audience, right? And so you're making content around that. It could just be you on a webcam. It could be the full podcast, a number of different things. And you're sending that out with a little blurb. I always snip a picture of the thing because I think it's good too. You can definitely push people to audio, but I do like pushing people to YouTube or maybe a page on our website if it happens to be hosted there. So I snip a screenshot of the video and hyperlink to it, and then I do a little blurb about what is going on in that piece of content, right? We're talking about, estimating renovation costs in 2025 and what has changed and what does it look like. And I'll do a little blurb on that, link to the video. And this is just giving quality content to our audience of real estate investors. We're not going hard for give us a loan right now. This is just us putting out quality content to our audience.
Yeah. And, I think showing your audience that you're an authority figure and showing your audience that you know what you're doing, and then you have local ties into your community and you're working with other investors, like that's important, right? They want to know that you're like the expert, the expert in this. So yeah, and the content stuff, I think that goes a long way, right? And again, if you ever need, ideas for some of this stuff, just go to our YouTube channel, go to Hard Money Bankers YouTube channel or something, and see what we've done in the past just to spark your memory. But like, I think everyone you're already actively out there doing stuff. It might not be on a large scale, maybe it is, but like you're actively doing deals, or you've got some background experience. Just start talking about it. I think that's important. I think the content stuff, I know we get a lot of good run on some of the content stuff, especially when we're interviewing other local real estate investors. I think that goes a long way. I think people are very interested in that. And if you want to start off and maybe start a podcast, or you want to do some sort of content stuff, interview real estate agents, interview other real estate investors, interview title companies. It's an endless way. It's an endless way to do it. And it resonates very well with local real estate investors.
All right, moving on to the call to action. So the call to action, the design for this one is to get a loan. You've given good content, your deal spotlights, your content shares, good content to the audience. And now, as Gary Vee says, it's time for a right hook. So the right hook is when you're asking for a deal. And here's one example of how to do it. We like to use the end of the month, end of any month, because you know how real estate just runs on months. Everyone's trying to get X deals closed by the end of the month. We like to use that for the call to action. That's one example, one common example. If we're about a week away from the end of the month, I'll say, hey, it's April, whatever. We got it. The last day of the month is April 30th. It's a Wednesday. I'm making that up. I'm not looking at a calendar. But normally I am actually accurate about this stuff. And I'll say something to the effect of, hey, just wanted to reach out to see if you have any deals that need to get done by the end of the month. We lend in these states, we lend our own funds, and we're known for closing quickly. So if you really have to get a deal done, there's still time. Reach out to us here right now. And it's pretty short and sweet. And oftentimes too, we will use a template that doesn't have the full branded template. So it looks a little bit more like a personalized email. And we just get a ton of responses from these. We do it from our main office here, that list, and also our partners who have expanded to other markets who manage their own email lists. They all do this too. And everybody gets deals this way. Like we get a couple deals from get this done by the end of the month marketing every month across the company. So it's very, very effective. I wouldn't use it for every email because that'd be getting pretty tired, right? If you're just constantly ask. I would spend most of the time putting out quality content with kind of a subtle call to action, and then on occasion go in with that right hook.
Yeah, definitely encourage everyone who's running a lending company or wants to grow their lending company to do this. Be very proactive about collecting all your email addresses. This shouldn't take a ton of time, right? This is a high level activity.
It really doesn't.
It shouldn't take an hour a week, but even if it does, it's a very good campaign. And don't be discouraged even if you only have 10 people in your email database. Start with that 10, get MailChimp, Aweber, and whatever email or responder sequence is. Start with, even if it's 10, send it to 10 people. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's 10 touches, 10 points of contact that day, or that week, and just keep adding people. It goes a long way. And anybody who's interested in real estate investing, doesn't just have to be your borrowers, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, maybe even capital investors, anyone you meet at a meetup group, anyone who calls you on the phone. I mean, one of our key metrics inside our business is how large our email database is growing on a month-to-month basis. It's a good metrics to track. And it doesn't need to be even tens of thousands of people. Hundreds of people, a few thousand people, can go a long way. So definitely encourage everybody to do this. Have fun with some of these these email marketing campaigns. These are 3 types that we do on a weekly basis, some monthly, like Chris said, that the CTA call to action ones, really only once a month. But start doing this consistently. It is nice to see, because I'm on a lot of the lists, the email marketing lists for members of the mastermind group, and I love getting those emails. And it's one thing that like I never delete them until I read them, because I'm really curious to see what they're writing about, and they're good content. And
I always look too.
I like seeing them, and I'm glad they're doing it. And I know, like, I don't even have to ask them if they're getting good results from it, because I know they're getting results from it.
Yeah, and like you said before, consistency is key. Just being consistent in and out every week with the game plan. The content does not have to be perfect. It's not going to be. Ours isn't either, and that is absolutely fine. Just be consistent with it, and you will see the revenue come in. All right, everyone, that is the pod for today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time here on the Private Lenders Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.